Okay. Good afternoon, Valencia. Thank you, VDS, for having us here. And thank you to Estonian e-Residency for being the host of this panel. In a spin-off, we believe that the future of entrepreneurship is yet to be defined, and we must break or challenge the current startup playbook to create the future. The startup playbook was written in Silicon Valley, mostly, but the future of a startup is being rewritten in Tallinn or here in Valencia, and everywhere where the founders build with purpose and not hype. We have heard the same startup mantras a thousand of times, like move fast and break things, raise fast, scale faster, fail forward. But today, we are going to review some of the startup playbook myths and see how Estonia faces them. Estonia, a country with 1.3 million people that build a digital nation, 10 unicorns, and a startup culture of trust in the base, not as a slogan or aspiration. Estonia didn't just build companies. Estonia built an ecosystem where the government acts like a startup and the founders act like engineers of trust. This session is about breaking the startup playbook, challenging the myths we've been told about how to start, scale, and succeed. And thank you, Martin and Taavi, for being here. Okay. So first of all, I want to jump into one of the myths, which is innovation only happens in big markets. Okay. Apparently, it looks like you need 40 million people to do something in innovation and to create something with value. And you in your country have the population more or less of a Coldplay concert, somehow. 10 unicorns, 0 excuses, focus, beat size. Question for Taavi. How did such a small country create something that big?
Yeah, you can ask that. Let's say Estonia is like 40 times, 50 times more than Spain. So in your e-banking app, you have all the functions. Like you can do everything in your e-banking app, but in our e-banking app, we are a small country. We only can check account balance. It's not so, right? It means that the small country needs the same functionalities like big countries. But the cost per transaction is so much heavier because we have so few transactions. So we have to be extremely efficient when we build those kind of stuff. So I agree with you that big markets are needed, but they are needed for sales. They are not needed for innovation. So for innovation, if you have in a small market, it's actually even better because you have to be efficient. If you can make it work in a small market, it works anyway in a big market. But you can't succeed without a big market. So I think the reason for Estonian unicorns being the unicorns is that they tested it in a small market, they saw the needs, and they instantly went out. They started to do export. And in Estonia, it's extremely important that both the private sector and the public sector, historically, has bought from Estonians, meaning that we didn't let Accenture or IBM or any other big companies, we didn't let them into our market. Our own language protected this, it was like market protection, but this gave experience to our own companies. Also, let's say, if you innovate nowadays in Estonia, you can always go to the CEO of Bolt or any other Estonian unicorn and ask that I have this new product. If you see a need, like support me, like help me to make you as my first business case. And then when you have like, oh, Bolt uses me, like it's already easier to enter to the Spanish market or other markets. But yeah, answering your first question is that if you can make it work in a small market, it works anyway in a big market.
And it was a competitive advantage, this mindset of efficiency.
Still is.
Once you're still is, yeah. How you realize that it is in the international markets?
I mean, you don't have to be a genius to understand this, like, so, I mean, or I didn't understood your question, like, so.
No, I mean, when you go abroad,
yeah,
and you have this mindset of efficiency and so on,
yeah.
Did you feel the difference between another markets, or it makes the difference?
Martin can comment that, I think, because like Estonians, one thing we cannot do, and that's the sales. At least for my eyes.
That is true.
I'm an engineer, so.
No. I tried hiring salespeople in Estonia. No. We're good at a lot of things, but sales is not one of them, because you need to talk to other people, and that's not something that we do. So just quick explainer on the national stereotypes. Estonians are super, the national stereotype at least is that we are very introverted. So when COVID hit and you had to stay away from other people for 2 meters, then nobody wanted to go that close. But as far as the efficiency goes, I think now we have learned to have other qualities that help us build and innovate and raise money and whatnot. But initially, it was just a lack of resources. So I think there is such a thing as like over-fertilization in an ecosystem where you have like anybody can get some kind of grant and keep your like half-baked idea going. Initially, we didn't have that. I think it's true for the entire country as well, because after the Russian occupation ended, we started from zero, and you didn't have any other options. So you really had to be efficient in all the different sectors. And I think the spirit is still there. Like now we have learned to fundraise, and we were talking about it before that we're getting hundreds of millions of VC investments every year. But I think the underlying spirit is still the same, that we were kind of scrappy.
So it's extremely important that your local people get this experience. Your students, your like engineers, people in other disciplines, they have to get the experience. I mean, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they have chased the idea that like they would like to see more startups coming out from there, and they have money. So the question is like, you have all the money in the world, you have access to the markets, why you still don't have unicorns? And the answer is simple. You don't give those jobs to your own people. Like there are other people like Capgemini and others, Deloitte, who do those kind of jobs, and they don't get that experience. So first thing, what I see as a key changer, or like how Estonia was different, is that the experience was given to their own people.
Okay. That links very well with my second myth, Silicon Valley rules, and we need to do everything like Silicon Valley does. But you didn't copy Silicon Valley. You created your own code. You turned bureaucracy into software and founders, and citizens into creators of a digital nation. So my question here is, when you build e-residency, were you consciously creating an alternative to Silicon Valley playbook, or did it grow naturally from the needs of Estonia or the Estonia's culture?
There was many things, especially in digital society field. For example, like digital signatures. Like everybody knows DocuSign, but DocuSign came later than compared with Estonia. I mean, we had digital signature implemented in society 10 years before DocuSign. So in some fields we were ahead of Silicon Valley. But Silicon Valley is still a great example to copy. And to be honest, Bolt is a copy of Uber, but it's a good copy. So, and we shouldn't be afraid of, or we shouldn't be ashamed of that. Microsoft is a copy, Walmart is a copy. Like, so we shouldn't be be ashamed to copy something that actually works in Silicon Valley. Why don't Like we do the same, but even better in Europe. So we did both. We copied some things, but we also invented our own stuff. And again, like if you haven't lived in true digital society, you don't understand it. I mean, if you build an application in Estonia, you never, let's say, create a username, password type of thing, because authentication, authorization already comes like a package, not like from the national repository, or GitHub. And these kind of things, like if you haven't experienced that you can connect your data with everything, with healthcare data, with education data, etc. Yes, you have to have a license and reasoning, but in the end, technically, it's possible. And again, if you haven't experienced that, it's hard to understand it. But our people, they got that experience very early.
They are copies, but with your own culture and your own ideas, right? So do you give these little tweaks to the models that already exist?
Yeah,
definitely. What does e-residency mean today for founders outside Estonia? Is it a business tool or is more a mindset?
It's both. First of all, if you need a place to park your company in a way that until you keep the money in the company, it's not taxed. And if you build the company, if you build your personal wealth, that's the best thing. Until I reinvest my earnings back to the business, I'm not taxed. And that's something that's quite unique, and that supports the startup mindset. If you're focused to build company 10 years, it's a great place to be. And at the same time, managing your company fully automated, and the cost, if you're a founder, you always care about the cost. The cost is minimum, compared, for example, with other large countries in Europe.
How long does it take, on average, to start paying taxes and so on? How long does it take when you need to
pay your taxes?
Yeah, paying taxes for entrepreneurship and so on.
We could do it 18 times over on stage right now, okay. Because it's you just confirm basically. So it's pre-filled. You go online and then you confirm. So no time. I'm saying we have 17.
Company taxes are fully automated, so
we have 17 minutes left of the panel, so we could start a company.
Yeah. I mean, with that kind of time, we could start a company.
Create the company
and make it a bank account.
Okay. Let's go to the third myth of Startup Playbook. Entrepreneurship is all about funding, the classic one. If you rise, you win, the mantra. I read an article some days ago of Mark Cuban, the guy of Shark Tank investor, and he said, you should never raise money. Now you have money flowing in Estonia. Martin, Pipedrive scaled globally and raised 100 million during the process. You were there. How much did the mindset and the context help it to attract the funds and the investors to Estonia?
I think it's easy to say don't raise money if you're Mark Cuban and a billionaire. So I saw up close, I was an early employee of Pipedrive, which is one of the unicorn companies, and that was sold to a private equity fund a few years ago. And they were one of the early companies to invest or attract serious VC investment. And I think the same scrappy mindset was probably one of the underlying things, because everything, if you look at the ratios of how much revenue per whatever VC dollar invested, or revenue per employee, or total cost, whichever of those metrics you looked at, those were all really, really good compared to anything that you could build in a place like London or New York. And of course, that's true across most of Europe or most of the world. But I think the underlying mindset was also the same, even as Pipedrive raised nearly 100 million.
In the beginning, we didn't have enough investment funds in Estonia. And it was extremely hard, especially when your company already showed significant advantages. Let's say, usually, like we had enough money for Series like pre-seed, seed, and Series A, but there wasn't enough money for Series B, like not talking even C or others. Like this has changed a lot, and I would say we still have a struggle between Series A and B. That part we need to, just how to say, like make it stronger, have like more funds for that. But having money, and especially the people, like the local funds, the local fund managers, they know personally all the founders. And it's a big difference, like if the fund manager lives next door or lives in New York. There's a big difference. So having local capital or like locally managed capital is extremely important.
But one thing that changed, and I was already had been in the before situation when VC money was extremely scarce, and now the after when it's like somewhat less scarce, is Tallinn has become, or Estonia is literally on the map now. Like I have some German VCs, for example, who are they do like a road show. They just go around all the cities that they consider important, and Tallinn is now a stop. But it wasn't like that before. So I think same is probably true for Valencia. And I don't know how well known it is among investors, but at some point, if there are enough success stories out of a place, then the VCs take notice and they're like, all right, let's start connecting there as well. And now we have like scouts of all the big VC firms in place. Some others, like earlier stage funds, like international ones, have physical presence permanently in Tallinn as well. So it's changing, yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the VC funds in Europe, Atomico has been historically, I think, the most known and still number one. But the current rising star is Plural, which has 2 Estonian founders from 4. Like so, like.
It happens with funding sometimes that it creates like a bubble of some projects. You know, they have fundings, they are growing, and it seems that they are not profitable enough at some point. Question for both of you: when do you think is the time to stop chasing capital and start building value?
I think you have to build value always from zero. But like, when do you switch? It's very, very difficult to answer because it's completely dependent on the situation. But I think often it's just the moment when you feel like the actual answer is like when you feel like you can't grow fast enough anymore to raise money at a very at favorable conditions. Like that's when it actually changes. And they're like, all right, let's go. Let's like try to be profitable now. But in reality, it just depends on your exact situation and like what your purpose is. Like what do you want to build? Because if the purpose is to build like the biggest tech company in the world, then you probably need to keep raising. And what is like Databricks, I think, is the company that is now at Series F or something. They're about to run. They will run out of letters soon to name the funding rounds. But they are also building something truly gigantic. So makes sense. So I think the answer depends on like what you're trying to build.
And also, I think if you come one stage earlier, if you don't have a product market fit with your seed round, close it. Like, or like pivot or whatever, like don't raise another round. Like, so you have to have enough money in a seed round to prove that you have a market fit.
Sometimes they have the money, but they don't have the plan or the clear plan. So that's why. Let's jump into the fourth. The always a founder dream. This one is funny. Nobody tells you this, but if your company overcomes the seed stage, your role in the company changes, and you start being a manager, not a founder, you know? So you are not anymore the founder of the idea and so on. So this is an identity crisis somehow, you know, because sometimes there are some founders that are in love of the adrenaline of start something, you know. Martin, you have lived this transition from founder to CEO to manage a lot of people. What did you have to unlearn to grow your company without losing yourself?
No, I mean, the transition from founder CEO to working at a big company was for sure the harder one. Like before that, I was the head of a department at a big company, right? So going from manager to founder, I think was in some ways harder because all of a sudden there's there's nobody else. Like if something is screwed up, then like it's always your fault at the end of the day, right? Because you're the reason why the whole thing exists. But having that freedom and then going back to not having that freedom, that was definitely like the harder transition. I don't really have a good answer to like what I had to unlearn. I don't think whatever it was, I didn't learn it, or I did not learn it.
Taavi?
Yeah, I would say it's a positive problem. Because the only reason that you need to change means that your company is growing and you make money. And that's a positive problem. Looking at I started as an engineer and then like becoming the CEO and then like even later like vice minister, whatever. But today I'm back as an engineer. So yeah, there was a phase that you had all those fancy titles and like responsibilities, but when the journey is, let's say, that journey is over, you're back to the roots. So I'm back as an engineer.
And during the process, you need to pay attention, not being a blocker for the growth of the company.
No, it's a positive problem. Like you see the success of your own work, like change.
Do ecosystems actually prepare founders for the transformation, or do we glorify too much the garage phase of the entrepreneurship?
Sorry, can you repeat?
The ecosystem of Estonia, do you prepare founders for the transition from founder to CEO and so on, for the growth?
I mean, we have an extremely strong founder society, which means that whenever you are in trouble or in, let's say, you are lost, there is another founder helping you. But like you have to reach. Nobody pushes that towards you. You have to reach out and ask for help. And there are always other founders. So I don't know if you have the founder society in Valencia or Spain. That's something I really suggest you to do. Only founders. Which means that, let's say, the third guy or fourth guy in your company can't get in. Only founders. And this is very helpful.
So, final one, success ends with the exit. Okay, so the myth says sell, disappear, and post your judge photos somehow. But real success is when you sell your company and is the starting point for someone else somehow. Martin, after the acquisition of Klaus, how do you define success right now?
I can confidently say I don't think about that, but so no direct answer to your question, unfortunately. But I would say the focus shifts quite a bit because like I'm now not with the company that acquired Klaus anymore. So so it shouldn't say co-founder Klaus, it should say unemployed actually. But I think the focus just shifts to like things outside of work for a while, and then leave some clarity of thought to think about like, okay, like what comes next. But it's quite noticeable how I've been through, let's say, 3 different phases. I was like founder CEO, then I was employee at a big company, and now I'm technically unemployed. So the big thing above your head that was always there for, in my case, for about 7 years, all of a sudden has disappeared. So I'm also looking for the answer to your question. Like, I don't know how I define success. Like,
How does it feel the day after you sell your company? The day after, the morning after you sell your company, how does it feel?
So I have bad news, because what nobody tells you is that that's not when the marathon ends, because then you have to run another marathon, which is integrating your company. Well, in my case, it was because it was acquired by another big company. It wasn't like a private equity fund or anything like that. So it's like another functioning big company, and you needed to integrate into it. So you had to run a second marathon without any pause to integrate your company into that other one. So I think that was the main realization that oh shit, it didn't end here. So I think the sort of realization of this being over is only now setting in, now that I've left the other company. But if anybody is in the process of M&A, then that's good to keep in mind that it does not end with the signature and the company being sold. Then you're in this adaptation phase of whatever is the new reality.
Okay, so we are wrapping up this panel. Taavi, what do you think governments can do in order to support innovation and a good startup ecosystem?
Copy the success cases of others. Like we said, starting from giving a chance to your own people to solve the problems and get experience. So that's the first thing you can do, which means that, let's say, all your digital tenders mostly should go to the Spanish companies, and build the experience from there. That has to be one of the goals, not just to solve the problem what you have. Let's say I need a new register for something, or I need a new hospital system. You also should include the fact that, okay, I need that system, but I also need to keep that knowledge in this country. And that, for example, has that has been success in China. It has now become success in India. We shouldn't look at them as developing countries. They are not. They are ahead of us already. So copy the same model. Give experience to your own people, and then they will start building the same stuff in other countries.
Martin, what do you think is the legacy that you leave in your country with your experience as an entrepreneur?
I would hope that, so Klaus was 100 people in the end, so I would hope that there's a few that will go on to found new companies as well. Actually, one has already been founded. And I could say that Klaus was the third generation of startups. If you go back, so I came from Pipedrive, learned a bunch of stuff and how things are done from there. A lot of the Pipedrive people came from Skype, which was the original tech startup. You could go back, to the first commercial bank that we had, and things like that. But I would say Klaus was the third generation, and I hope there will be a few that will become the fourth generation. So that would be a cool legacy. Certainly building a company that is remote first, as well as Klaus was. I think that was also maybe something that was rare at the time and done well. So yeah.
Okay, any final thought that you want to share?
Just going back to what you were talking about before, what could be things to do to make an ecosystem successful. Displaying and talking about the local success stories, I think, has been hugely important in Estonia. The fact that we know all the the founders and CEOs of those companies, and you kind of feel okay, well, he lives next door, and he doesn't seem to be a hyper genius type of guy that's completely unreachable and different from me. I think that has made a big difference. That like all the people are known, relatable. Their stories are like, yeah, okay, that doesn't seem like a different universe.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the university with the Skype guys. So if you sit behind the desk with the same people, like you see them being successful, and like, come on, we did the math test together, and I was better than you in that math test. Like, so if you can do it, I can do it. Like, so that kind of like sharing the success stories and being open and supportive. There is a saying in Silicon Valley that in Europe there is Estonian mafia, and like they don't actually mean like real mafia, but what they mean is that that's the set of people in a startup ecosystem where they support each other.
For me, it's not about build unicorns, it's about build ecosystems that make unicorns possible. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.